All right. So 1977 through 1980, they changed up the MGB just enormously. A couple of reasons, mostly with sales, and they did make a superior product. Those 77 through 80 MGBs are really, really nice cars. Now, you can argue that they're grossly underpowered. Yes, of course they are, and you can fix that pretty easily. But just as a comfortable vehicle, there's an armrest on the door, there's an armrest in the middle. The steering wheel is comfortable. The heater controls, my God, the heater controls actually work. They're in the center. It's a really nice vehicle, and they changed up the colors. They did a bunch of stuff. The engine itself doesn't change from a 76. So there's different serial numbers on them, but that has to do with which emissions standards. The basic parts are all the same. The only thing that changes much is the distributor. So the power plant stays the same, 74 and a half through 80. Of course, it's got the Stromberg on it, all that stuff, and all the emissions and the dual canisters, but that is no different from a 76, except that there are dual canisters. They added that extra canister to get that last little bit of unburned hydrocarbons coursing through the evaporative loss control system. So the ignition changes. It changes every year, although it might be pretty static. Um, that's not a joke. 77 through 80. They did change the electronic ignition modules from the Opus to the, oh, gosh, why can't I remember this? Anyway, the first ones were absolutely horrid, and they all failed. You never see any of them in a car anymore. They had the switching unit, the electrical switching unit, as part of the distributor. You can only vibrate and heat stuff up for so long, and it quits working. So then they moved the electronic control underneath the coil, like a um, more modern American car at the time. And people say, oh, that's just a GM module inside the ignition. It hardly ever fails. It's a really good system, that second system. The cooling system changes a lot. Surprise. The radiators move forward. Some say that it was to make way for the O series engine, which was destined to go into the MGB. And a few did, experimental ones. I saw one in England in 1970, 73, 83. But other people say it was to make way for the MGB, the V8 engine. In any case, the radiator is mounted much farther forward. Electric cooling fans are used. Canada only uses one electric cooling fan. The federal and California spec use two cooling fans. Um, that's 77 through 80. So that's a big change there. Fuel system stays the same. The only thing we add in is an impact switch, safety switch. Um, the and the rollover switch. Both of them having to do with interrupting the flow of gasoline if you're in a crash and you're flipped upside down. One of them's up on the firewall. That's the mechanical one. If you're hanging upside down, it shuts the fuel off to the carburetor. Those all leak, some safety device. And then there's an impact switch located above the driver's right knee up on the inside, behind the dash on the inside of the firewall. And that pops if you're in a pretty low speed collision. Car hits, matter of fact, they'll go off sometimes if you hit a pothole. And since that stops the power going to the fuel pump, the cheap solution is run a new wire back to the fuel pump. Saw it 100 times. But there's those two safety devices are in there. But the rollover valve up on the firewall is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Take it out of the system. Do not use it. If you have to make it original, If your car is absolutely original, it's got to be there. Then drill through it and put a piece of tubing through it, and or something so that it can't possibly leak. I've seen them leak really badly, spill a lot of fuel real quickly. The clutch stays the same, no change in the clutch. The gearbox, there's some interesting stuff on the gearbox. Um, at 74 and a half, we go into 1,000 turns per mile on the speedo, so that stays the same. But the gearbox itself stays the same unless you read some of the information, and every now and then you run into is it John Esposito? You run into a third gear or second gear that's got more teeth on it or something. Is there a gear change right there at the very end? John is muted, and John can unmute himself by depressing the space bar key. That would be the easiest way. And he's depressed the space bar key, but he's still looking. It'd be so interesting.
When you
So,
push the space bar, you got to hold it down.
yeah, you got to hold your space bar down. Thank you. That's true. But it isn't working for us tonight, John. Oh, gosh. Anyway, John Esposito,
Click
Quantum
on the
Mechanics.
audio link at the lower left.
John is the rebuilds more gearboxes than anybody else. Absolutely. So anyway, nice to have him on tonight, but he's trying he's trying to get on. Anyway, we'll come back as soon as John figures out that thing. We'll come back to it. There's a TCSA electrical circuit, transmission controlled spark advance, 1977 through 1980. So um, there's a solenoid up on the brake master cylinder box that trips when you are in fourth gear and lets manifold vacuum go right to the vacuum advance unit. All other times, the vacuum advance unit is not working. Which is why when you're sitting at idle and everything's hooked up and working correctly with your foot on the clutch at a stoplight, which you should not ever do, but if your foot's on the clutch and you're fiddling around with a gear lever and you put it between third and fourth, when you pull it into fourth, the idle jumps in the car. It's like, what is going on here? And it's because the vacuum is going to the vacuum advance unit. That it's not designed to work down there. It's just that's something that happens to happen. Anyway, there's a couple of different switching systems for that. In the overdrive, they've gone to a thumb switch on the gear lever, which is either cool or not. I don't know. A lot of electrical problems with those. The wires break down underneath, and it's hard to keep the cat unless you make it a little special tool. Hard to keep the gear knob in place. But it's a wonderful system. The gearbox is wonderful, absolutely. There's hardly anything goes wrong with them ever. Run them out of oil, But the gearbox is great. And sometime maybe John can figure out how to get on. I'll get this answer because I had Kurt call me from my own shop, and he goes, "I'm putting back together this gearbox," and I get like every other gear's got 28 teeth and this one's got 29. It's like, what's going on? And I know I'd read someplace that there was a gear change, but I never really chased it. Drive shaft stays the same. That doesn't make any difference whether it's a 76 or a 77. Rear axle and suspension, that all stays the same, except there's a rear anti-sway bar. Oh my gosh, a rear anti-sway bar. You cannot add a rear sway bar to your MGB through some kit. They tear out. The forces there are just enormous. So the 77 through 80 has got flanges and a great big knuckle in there to hold that rear anti-sway bar in place. It is wonderful. It's great. And of course, the car really needs it. But that is a change between the 76 and the 77. And it tracks. It holds the road so much better.
Hey, John,
Yes.
Alan here. If many of us have lowered our cars, I realize I'm interrupting your feed,
No, that's right.
but I've, in talking with Deershaw, I mean, I appreciate my 78 MGB. It rides so well on long distance trips. But when you lower it, does that change any of the suspension as far as having, having that rear and front anti-sway bars, if you will?
Um, no, not really. I mean, yes, it does, but not any appreciable amount. I always, when people talk to me about lowering a rubber bumper car, putting chrome bumpers on it, lowering it. So why not just buy a chrome bumper car? I mean, just make it real.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah, no, I have a rubber bumper car, but it's just been lowered. So the
I
center of gravity is lower.
I I love the height of the 77 through 80. You can get in and out of it at my age so
Are,
comfortably.
are you are you getting old there, Boy Scout?
Yeah, just about. Oh my
Actually,
gosh.
John,
Yes.
can I just jump in on that? I've got a 79 GT, which is in my background picture at the moment. I drove it across Canada a couple of years ago. And that's a UK car, and it's got lowering blocks on the rear and it's sort of down to chrome bumper height. But I know the general consensus in the UK was that if you do lower the late rubber bumper cars, you should really take the rear anti-roll bar off.
Well, having a rear sway bar in there is really nice.
Yeah.
It just you got to reposition it because you got a couple of sections that are moving there, and the spring and the shock and the
Yes.
um,
I've taken mine off mainly because it wouldn't pass an MOT, the UK MOT, because the bushes had gone. At the time, the bushes were hard to get hold of. So
sure.
I took it off because of that. But I haven't refitted it. But I have been wondering about it. But that's just what I've been told. But the car's beautiful to drive. We did 10,000 miles across Canada in it, and
Yeah.
it drove beautifully.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
driving, on a Canadian highway or even improved roads, that's one thing, but putting it through its paces, a lot of turns, sharp turns and stuff, that rear anti-sway bar is really nice. But most people don't drive like that either.
Yeah, we went through the Rockies and also through Labrador, Newfoundland. There's some pretty rough old roads through there too. But
Oh boy.
yeah. But anyway, I'll let you get back to it.
All right,
John,
steering.
can you hear me yet?
Comment on the
Oh,
lowering.
yes. Oh, HDR, raised hand.
Oh yeah, that's me. Am I muted? No. I had lowering block. I have a 78 MGB, and I've lowered the front and the rear. Lowered the rear with lowering blocks, and I took them out after a while because I felt like it adversely affected the handling. It sort of like tended to whip around.
It's called torque steering. It's like driving the cars that were a high-low. So when the rear axle is loose, when it flexes, when it can move, move back and forth like that. When it can do that, when you're accelerating and decelerating, you're steering the car from the rear end. The axle doesn't have to move much. All midget 1500s have terrible torque steering, just the way it is. You put your hands on the steering wheel at 30 miles an hour, put your foot to the floor, take off, and the car changes lanes. It goes in the other lane. Take your foot off the gas, it comes back again. I mean, it's horrible, and that's the problem with the lowering blocks. Is that the U-bolts can't hold that whole system in place without it moving around. So that's you have to put if you what are the links called? You put them underneath the rear axle.
Traction bar type of thing.
Yeah, there's a bar that goes underneath a solid bar that goes underneath the leaf spring, and we put those on a guy's V8 once, and that keeps you from doing that torque steering. So you can also tighten up those bolts. Just get another set of U-bolts and tighten them up until they're almost stripped. Get them really tight. That makes all the difference in the world.
My first MG mechanic was like, every time you lift the car, tighten up the U-bolts.
Okay,
So he taught me that at least. So
sure.
Hey, John, can you hear me yet?
Yes. Hey, John. Okay, here we go.
I'm joining the 20th century and learning how to do this.
Well, hey, you're making progress.
Hey, you were talking about the speedometers. Yes, when they went to the 1,000 turn speedometer, they changed the gear ratios in both the 4-speed transmission and the overdrive.
What about like around a 1979 MGB gearbox? Does second or third gear change by a tooth or something?
Actually, it's the first gear that changes.
Okay.
And then the first gear changed to a different ratio. The cluster gear is the same, but the first gear has a different number of teeth to give you a different gear ratio for the first gear.
Okay. I knew there was something up in that range.
Yeah, you have to use a different speedometer gear set. A lot of people make the mistake of putting a later transmission in an early car or vice versa, and then your speedometer is off by 20%.
Yes. Yep. And changing that gear, well, anytime you get one of those gearboxes, you go to install anything, you want to put a new pinion gear in there just to make sure that the driving gear on the inside stays good. Because when that goes bad, to properly repair it, you got to take the engine and the gearbox out of the car, take the overdrive off the back of the gearbox, take the overdrive apart to change this $100 gear, plastic gear. Glenn at Glenn's MG Repair has these fingers that go into the bearing at the back. You get the flange off, get the seal off, put this thing in, screw it, pops that rear bearing right out. You can reach in, pull the gear off, put the bearing all back in. It's a $300 Mercedes-Benz tool or something or other. Okay, I'm continuing on here. Steering. How does the steering change 77 through 80? I think the rack changes a little bit in the ratio. If you read the workshop manual, it says that it does. I've never noticed the difference between the way a 77 and 80 steers and a 68 steers. It feels the same to me. But I've never been really critical about it to know. The steering wheel has to be removed to change the turn signal switch, not the wiper switch, although it's a lot easier if the wheel isn't there when you're changing the wiper switch. Anyway, it's you have to be able to pop the steering wheel off. The steering columns are made, I think, still those were made by some kind of steering company out of Saginaw, Michigan. The front suspension is the same, 77 through 80, as it was in 76, except that there is a front anti-sway bar, which by 70 some of the 76s had them. Not all. I'm not really clear between 74 and a half and 76 which ones did and which ones didn't. It's the single most important dramatic thing you could possibly do to any MGB, any MG, is to put a front anti-sway bar on it. It changes the handling so dramatically. So anyway, the shocks stay the same shocks, 1963 and 1980. The brakes change only a little bit, and it isn't. It just everything's almost the same as a 76. The electrical, we got a whole lot of stuff. I talked about the TCSA switch, and by 1980 we lose the low-powered running circuit for the ignition coil, which was introduced in 1975 to raise the voltage going to the coil right at startup, so you get a bigger spark than not. The 1980s, they changed up a lot of stuff in 1980. It was weird. The ground strap, which on an MG is on the left front motor mount, and it stays there until 1974, when it disappears under the car. This is the most important electrical connection that's often overlooked or hooked up wrong. So then it goes underneath where you can't see it, can't even tell if it's there. From the gearbox to the cross member underneath stays there until 1980 when it comes back up on top. So you can see it. It's really nice. Also in 1980, they changed the horn wiring. Every horn that I've ever worked on, any Lucas horn, is wired hot and grounded. That's just the way they do it. Doesn't make any difference which way you do it, but they always did it that way until 1980. And then the horn is grounded, and when you press the button, it sends power to the horn rather than grounding the horn. So why would they do that in 1980 only? You know, the supply of horns, they had to change the wiring loom. I don't know. Weird. The dashboard, the dashboard changes so nicely. You got those great big instruments. The only problem with the Speedo, of course, is that that's plastic with a hole in it, and it does over time, you know, go from transparent to milky to translucent to, yeah, you can barely see through it. You can have a glass shop make you up a glass lens for the Speedo. It pops right out of the dash. You can take the cover off and take that old plastic thing off and put a piece of glass in there. Good glass shop can drill a hole for the odometer push. So too bad they didn't do that in the beginning. The wheels and tires, they go a little bit bigger, 185s. Someplace up in the range there. Certainly by the time we get the LEs from the 165 14s that they had been running. The wheels change on the LE. Of course, LE, I'll speak a little bit about that. Lube and maintenance, they stopped asking you to put oil in the rack and pinion and even oil in the differential. They don't even ask you to do that by 1980. So the lubrication charts changed and they got cheaper. Always do all the lube that the earlier cars had, for sure. The body colors, there's, you know, just generally there's black, white, red, blue, and green. There wasn't a black until the LEs came out, but we had Inca yellow, which in 1980 changed to Snapdragon. Then we got Chartreuse, 1977, 1 year color, not about as attractive as Aqua was in 1972. It didn't last as long as Russet Brown, which ran all the way through those years. Russet Brown, they were still into some of those earth colors. We had Flamenco move over to a Carmine. And then we had Brooklyn's Green, same color it looks like on a 1950 TD, only that was Woodland's Green. And then we've got the Blues, Tahiti moving into Pageant, and Glacier White going into Leyland White. The chart that's in the Moss Motors catalog about paint colors, which is helpful for reference, but any suggestion that the paint colors might be mixed today, the ones that are in that chart, is wrong. Everything's changed. The paint's changed 3 times since my late wife Caroline made that chart, and then we gave it to Moss to print. But it's just been it'll give you a hint, and sometimes you can find, oh, if there's a BLVC number with it, you can find something modern or a modern equivalent. But the chart itself isn't necessarily helpful. Then we got Sand Glow up through 77. So there's still some earth colors left over from before. Not Tundra. that one we left it in, I think, in 75. The production numbers, I thought there was 1 year where they jumped several thousand numbers so they could begin the series with the last 4 digits of 0251. I looked for that tonight in the Moss catalog, which again is a reprint of a chart that Caroline made so many years ago. And I could not find that. I know I've seen it someplace. Somebody in the factory said, hey, we're going to start the year off with the last four digits of the serial number 0251, just as a joke. So anyway, I know it's out there. Maybe I'll find it. Oh, oh, tech call. So anyway,
John, I'm gonna post your chart that has like the colors by year, like
oh
the
yeah, okay.
whatever green was up, whatever yellow was up. So
Yeah,
that's in the link now.
thank you. Thank you. Um, the the serial numbers stayed the same, just a continuation of the earlier serial numbers. It started at 101 in 1963 is a GHN3, and then it became a GHN4, and then in the end it became a GHN5. So but it became a GHN5 in 1970. So they didn't recognize in that part of the body prefix, the serial number, any changes, any dramatic changes until 1980, when they had to meet with some kind of international standard. And now GHN 5UL becomes the next year GVVDJ2AG. Of course, the ones that are destined for Japan didn't have exactly the same numbers on them because it had to do with where they were supposed to be delivered. So that was the change in 1980. So sales were flagging. They couldn't. Stuff wasn't working for them, and there were reports that it was costing them $14,000 to make a car they were selling here for $7,000. But um, Tim Whistler's book, "The Defeat of the Triumph: The Rise and Fall of the British Car Industry," really reveals that they hadn't a clue what was going on. I don't know if they were making money or losing money. Probably losing, but maybe not as much as everybody said. Who knows how they were costing off their accounts? But they were in a real battle to stay in business. So they decided to come out with a limited edition. Now there were 1,000 of those in Canada, all with a plate on the glove box, I think, that said limited edition and which number of that 1,000 it was. And as I remember, all of them came with overdrives. That's not the case with the federal spec limited editions, which came out in 1979, as early as 79, for a total of 6,667 or 69, I think 67 units all together. And they were different from a normal MGB because they were black. They had a gold stripe on them that said limited edition. They had different wheels that looked like those wheels off the Triumph Stag. They had a different steering wheel, and let's see, they had different tools in the trunk because the lug wrench that fit a normal MGB wouldn't fit the lug nuts on these Stag type wheels. It didn't pull them out of the mess. Then I think the last 100 each car made, MGB made, is that the last 100? Alan, would you know? Were designated in England as limited editions, and they were painted pewter or
They were
bronze.
the Bs, the Roadsters were gold, and the GTs were pewter.
1,000 of each, maybe.
I think something about 1,000 of them.
Yeah, something like that. So right here at the end of production, they're pulling out all the stops to make the cars as attractive as they possibly can physically, and to make it easy to buy them too. All kinds of deals. So anyway, that's the 77 through 80 MGB. But those of you who have those cars, I'm now open to talk about an issue you might have with your car, like putting the spacer blocks on the back. Sounds like a good idea, but that rear axle just moves on top of those spacer blocks. It's really, I mean, there's a lot of force back there. The
Right.
opposite force is pushing the car ahead. So there's a lot of force there. Anyway, let's go. Greg Fisher.
This was talking about this. My car, the one you see there behind me, is kind of a hybrid. It's a 78 that I've basically combined with a lot of 73 parts. I bought the chrome bumper kit from Moss, and I bought the lowering kit from Moss, and so I still have that rear sway bar on there, and I don't know whatever they used. I think it was just a block that I put in there to lower the rear end, and I did the front end, and it rides nice. I don't have any issues. What should I be looking for if there's going to be a problem with that sway bar in the back?
Oh, the only two things I can think of is it's torque steering. Put your hands on the steering wheel, not like this, because you want to turn it flat, and you're doing 20, 30 miles an hour, second gear, third gear, and just hammer it to the floor so you get a lot of torque out of the back end. Does the car accelerate straight down the road, or does it go left, or does it go right? And then when you let your foot off, does it come back? If it is, those U-bolts are too loose back there. And I suppose there's some way to put in bigger U-bolts, but involving drilling all those plates, and it's a hassle, but I'm sure you could do it to hold it down. But that rear anti-sway bar is going to help keep that rear axle straight. But I can't make this work in my head. I can't think about how this moves. But the knuckles on the end of the sway bar are adjustable. So they're adjustable for two reasons. One, the vagaries in production, and to allow you maybe to move the rear axle around. So maybe it's got to be screwed in or out. I would disconnect the bolts there sometime when it's loaded on the rear axle. The car's held up by the rear axle, so all the weight of the car is on the rear axle. And then take those bolts out. And if they don't want to come out, it's because they're under stress. So then you got to fiddle around with the position of the rear axle in the car, so they're not under stress. So you can get them out, tip that thing out of the way, spin the ends off, lube it all up, spin them all back in, and then let the car sit down on the rear axle again, and then bring these things up and keep adjusting these big ends on the sway bar until you can get the bolt that goes right through without it being loaded when it's in its natural position. Long explanation. If you want to hear it again, call me tomorrow. I'll tell you again tomorrow. It's a little more
John.
No,
slowly.
I get what you're saying. I don't know. I've got about 4,500 miles since I put this thing back on the road, and I haven't experienced anything, and I just was wondering if there's something I should experience.
It may be just fine. So yeah.
John.
John Gary here in Victoria.
Yeah. Gary?
I've got a 1980 MGB Roadster. It's the only MG I've ever owned. I just love it. So when people talk about earlier versions of things, I have no clue. But you mentioned something about that that roll-off switch up on the above your left-hand knee.
Okay. All right. There are two. There's an electrical one inside the car. That's just fine.
Yes. Okay.
He stays there in place. There's one underneath the bonnet.
Yes.
And if it's still in the fuel system, take it out of the fuel system tomorrow.
Well, how would I recognize it?
You'll have to call me tomorrow, and I can talk you through it, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, one more thing. Today, I was watching a 1972 James Bond movie, 72, The Man with the Golden Gun, and there was an MG featured prominently in it.
Good. And for those who want to watch lots of movies with MGs, it's not the IMDb, it's not the Internet Movie Database, it's the ICMDB, the Internet Car Movie Database. And you can put in MG, and you can put down, you can ask it, all movies with MGs, which thousands. You want to see one MG at a stop sign, in an otherwise movie which has got no other MGs, or do you want it to be featured part of the MG, like the movie, like Love Story. So you can get all kinds. It's all crisscrossed by models. It's the most amazing thing ever. There's some good MG scenes in some movies. Anyway, Rob Kuhn, please.
Yeah, I ended up with a rock solid barn find 77 MGB. And I'm not really good on electronics, but it has an Opus electronic distributor. Is that correct?
Yes, could be.
Yeah, it's got a square little box at the bottom of the distributor. It kind of sticks out.
Yeah, it's green. It's got a green color. That's the coating on the electronic part. Yes.
I didn't notice color, but yeah. How does that work and what is it?
It's electronic ignition. Instead of having points, it's electronic ignition. It's their first iteration of electronic ignition. That's the ones that all failed. And so they were all either replaced in place with a Piranha mounted up on the inner fender, or illumination, or there were a bunch of aftermarket electronic ignitions available to cover this problem. It wasn't just in MGs, it was in the whole British Leyland line. There might be something in there right now that overrides what's already in your car, or it may be that it was working when the car was put away, but now that we've talked about it, it won't work. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
so
tomorrow.
you want to get a replacement distributor, and get one built for you rather than one out of a catalog that says fits everything, because no distributor fits everything. It's real specific. You can call Jeff Schlemmer at Advanced Distributor in Minnesota, or
Oh, yeah.
you can call Rob Medinsky at British Vacuum Unit in New Hampshire. Both those guys rebuild distributors. They won't rebuild yours. They hate yours. Then they're not rebuildable. But they will take an earlier style, probably with points, and then with some simple instructions on how to hook it up. And you'd be a whole lot happier with that.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to it breaking tomorrow.
Okay.
We used to
John.
replace the 45 CDI distributor with the old 25 distributor.
Yeah. Yeah. All the time. And then for a long time in the catalogs, they had the Euro spec MGB distributor, which was the original 40893 distributor, which came in a 25D body, but it was the same curve, same advance, everything was upgraded to the 45D body. And that was, what was the number on that? Oh, forgot. I'll remember it in a minute. Anyway, that was sold as the Euro spec for a long, long time. But those you want to get new. You don't want a new distributor. You want an original distributor for 25D, like John is talking about. And
John?
you want to get
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, regarding distributors and swapping things out, do you want to, this might be going down a rabbit hole, but do you want to talk about all the later cars being manifold vacuum, the earlier cars being ported vacuum, and what the difference is on your timing and your vacuum advance?
Sure. Just real overall, the vacuum advance is there in the beginning to get a little more efficiency out of your car. And then beginning in 1968, it was to make the car pollute correctly. So that's what the vacuum advance are, and the weights and the rate of advance. There's only one rate of advance that's designed to make the car run the best, and that was the original distributor, where it ran absolutely the best, and that used ported vacuum. So by 1972, they went to manifold vacuum, but the vacuum is matched with the distributor. You can't just willy-nilly move them around. They're designed. Take a 1974 distributor. It's got like 19 degrees. Is this the rabbit hole you're talking about? Um,
Yes.
I got 19 degrees of distributor advance, which is 38 degrees on the crank, which means that if you're going to static time it, you static time it at 2 degrees or 8 degrees after top dead center. It's just it's they're so bizarre, but they're designed to make the car pollute correctly. If you want the car to run correctly as best as it can, you go back to that original distributor. But the ported vacuum and the manifold vacuum are quite distinct and cannot. They have to be matched with the distributor. And since half the distributor's vacuum advances don't work, apparently it doesn't make an awful lot of difference anyway. Certainly none of the vacuum advance units from about 72 to 70, 74 worked. Those are all shot unless they've been replaced. So 75 didn't have a vacuum advance. It had,
What does that mean when you say ported versus manifold? Is it the source of the vacuum?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Judd. Yep. So you either have a hole in the manifold and you get a vacuum that comes out of there. It's greater when you're decelerating or when you're idling. Go up to 24 inches, maybe 28, pushing 28 when you're decelerating off a fast run. But when you're wide open, there's no vacuum at all. And then there's ported vacuum, which is a little tiny hole right next to the butterfly. And the more the air is going by there, the higher the vacuum is.
So that port is in the carburetor.
It's in the car. It's that little tit on the top of most of the carburetors, usually on the rear carburetor, because that makes it closest to the distributor. The front carburetor, the front of the front carburetor on a midget, because the vacuum line goes around the other way across the top of the thermostat housing. And then on the MGAs, it's impossibly positioned with a little tiny 7x1 metric thread, although I'm sure that's not it. I'm sure that's a different thread than that, but it's all I remember. I know that fits. Down underneath of the rear carburetor, if you're looking at it, down around 8 o'clock, and it's just a horror to get to get into place. Yeah. So anyway, when you're redoing your distributor, you sure want to let the guys know who are rebuilding it, what sort of what year and model you've got and whether you've got those ports or not. They'll ask you all those questions. Was that a deep enough rabbit hole?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. John Borg, what's up? John Borg, I'm waiting for John. He's got his hand up and he's trying to unmute probably. We'll see what's going on here. Oh,
Hey, John.
there we go.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
My
sir.
wife called me. My wife called me right when you said my name, so I had to put her on pause for a minute. So I have two totally unrelated questions. The first one is I looked on MG Experience and couldn't get a good answer for this. But when I opened my driver's side door with the window up, the vent window is not aligned to the actual window. Is that the way it's supposed to be? Are they supposed to be
No, it's all
perfectly in
supposed
line?
to it's all supposed to fit nicely. So
Yeah.
no, we're talking the vent window is
I'm talking
fit.
about the frame. Yeah, the vent window,
The
the chrome
chrome
frame.
frame for the vent window is fixed. You try to get the windscreen to match it, and you
No, the
and you
window,
and you
the
also you work the rear track in the door to push the glass forward so it tracks along and goes up and down the slot. So the rear track pushes the window into the quarter light assembly. To adjust all this, you've got to take what year do you have?
66.
Yeah. So you got to take the door panel off.
Okay, and then adjust it at the bottom. Will that adjust that
At the
tab?
rear. At the rear, there's
Okay.
a track, as long as your forearm, that holds the rear of the window glass, the door glass in place. It slips up and down in that track. It's got felt on the inside of it. sometimes when I gave up, I'd spray it down with silicone to make sure that it moved up and down more easily. Um, anyway, that rear track is adjustable top and bottom as far as how far you might push it forward. So take it apart. You'll probably, once you see it, you go, okay, all right. I've just got to push this forward. And that'll push the glass forward into the track of the quarter light window.
Yeah. Well, my question is that window and the door that goes up and down, is it supposed to be lined up with the chrome frame of the vent window, or are they kitty wonky to each other? It seems like the chrome frame is tilted inward relative to the glass.
Then boldly stand outside the car and grab the top of the frame section and pull it towards you until you're scared you might break it,
Huh.
and see if
Okay.
you straighten it out.
Okay. Yeah. And then my other question is, I watched your video on that overdrive test rig.
Yes.
And I'm just not quite sure where that pressure gauge goes in. There's several bolts on the bottom of the overdrive. This is a D-type overdrive for the 66.
I don't know where the D-type goes. Esposito,
Okay.
you still on? John, you still
Yeah,
on?
yeah, on the D type, it's the same as the A type. It's a 7/16 head plug on the upper right side of the main case. That's where the port is that you do the pressure test.
Got it. Okay, so it's on top. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you both.
Thank John, he had the answer. Okay, so let's see. John has his hand up. Do we have another John without a last name who's got a hand up?
I do. Last name is Mandela.
Oh yeah, okay.
John, a couple of months ago, I had talked to you at another Zoom meeting about my choke cable not pulling my jets down, and I got the good advice of oil is your friend and lube the cable. But there was one item that kind of perplexed me a little bit, and that was like reduce the length of the sheath. And I was just wondering, how does that help the choke cable be more efficient?
What year and model?
65 midget, SU carbs. And when I was pulling on the choke cable, I just couldn't get it to go all the way down. And I thought I recorded in my notes. Let me case it that way, that the cable sheath needed to be shortened.
As short as you can get it and not have it stressed or strained. Yes. Yes. Because when you pull on the cable, because the cable's length is reducing, the outer sheath has to reduce too. And if it's too long, it just binds up.
All right. So
it's not a very good explanation, but
basically as short as you can get it without bending it or kinking it.
Yeah.
And you're just going to get more efficiency out of the cable.
Yeah. You got a 1275 midget?
I have a 1098.
Well, is there a heater? Is there a heater tube in the way?
No heater tube. It's actually a straight run right out of the dashboard. It's really easy.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Easy. I just before I went and started trimming that.
Oh no, this is embarrassing. I was thinking of a midget 1500. I'm sorry. That's where the fresh air tube is on a 1500. You'd have to accommodate that with a choke cable. I'm sorry.
It's just the shorter the sheath without bending it, you get more efficiency out of the cable.
Yes.
You'll get that extra little 16th of an inch that you need to drop those.
Oh yeah. Shots. Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you for your help.
Hey, good luck.
Appreciate it.
Hey, John.
Okay. Yes, Terry.
Hey, back to that fuel shutoff valve on the front of the firewall by the heater.
Yeah.
I wish I had it to show you. What it looks like is a melted lump of aluminum. This is after the fire. Ryan's MGB 77, when he bought it, had burned, and that lump of aluminum was still on the firewall. Yep, they will leak and they will burn.
We had a guy that 77 through 80 used a different kind of hose. I didn't even think about mentioning that in the introductory remarks. They changed this hose supplier, and the hose, instead of getting cracks around the outside, instead ruptured lengthwise, would just open. It would just open, and fuel would go everywhere, and fumes would go everywhere. And so we had a guy who had that valve, and it was sweating. Okay, it wasn't really leaking, but there was gas up there. And he came around the shop and talked to one of the guys, and then left and came back in the afternoon and had like an eighth of an inch of gasoline on the driver's floorboard, driving it with gasoline sloshing around on his feet. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, those are real dangerous. I hate those valves and those hoses. So, thanks.
John,
Yes,
this is Alan Tabbs.
yes.
A question for you. Is there any advantage in getting rid of the stock air cleaner assembly in a 74 MGB and putting on K and B or whatever it is, other air cleaners and other assemblies and so on and so forth?
Well, after spending, I don't know, half a day and $250, will you feel it when you drive the car?
That's a good question. That's what I'm
Only in your brain.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's no real advantage, then is what you're saying.
No.
It just looks good.
There's a couple of options out there. First of all, you never want to get rid of the original factory air cleaner style.
Oh, sure.
It's got a radius to let the air come in. It's worth 2 horsepower at the rear wheels. 2 horsepower on what? 2 horsepower on 60 horsepower. It's a lot of the available horsepower you're wasting by not having those stub stacks, those radiused insides of the air cleaner. But then you can put K&N filters on there that you have to keep wetting with like Marvel Mist oil, automatic transmission fluid, really lightweight oil, and then wash them off every now and then. And some of those have got real nice covers on them with flutes and a big MG. Now we're up to $500, and you will feel a difference in your brain when you're
For
driving
sure.
the car.
They're definitely going to be better.
For sure. And you'll also hear it because they're noisy. Or you can get the K&N filters and put them into the existing air cleaners. But then it looks the same. What you never, ever want to do, ever, is buy those little beautiful pancake Hellings and Hellings filters, and the ones that have got MG crest on them or something. Those horrid. They don't breathe at all. It's such a. I mean, maybe they look cooler. I mean, who's to say? But as far as performance, oh my gosh, the factory filters are great. Only that I started off the whole program saying that I can't find a filter for a factory MGB. Well, I don't know. We'll wait and see. Alan gave me an idea.
Okay, thank you, John.
Hey, you're welcome. All right.
George.
Yes, George.
Okay, let's talk about this little relay that's up on your brake area that kicks in when you put it in fourth gear.
Yep.
I'm still confused. First off, I don't think that's up there on just a regular transmission, straight 4-speed, but I think it's only used for the overdrive. Am I correct on that?
No.
Okay. All right. But my 77 don't have the wiring for it.
In 77, they wanted the controlling deal here is that they wanted to have that TCA switch work in fourth gear. So eventually they got a switch on the remote control that worked only in fourth gear. And that used the solenoid up on the box, and they all had it, 77 through 80. All of them had it. They also then used the current that came out of that switch to run the overdrive. So the overdrive went from working in third and fourth because that was the way the switch was set up then, to this new way where the switches had got a different position in the remote control housing. Now it only works in fourth. So the TCSA switch works. So the most horrible thing about that circuit, oh my God, is it's unfused. It starts at the junction of the main and rear and gearbox looms. Sometimes it's part of the gearbox loom. It's a white with brown. Sometimes it's just by itself. Sometimes it's encased in a sheath by itself. It depends on the year. I can't tell you which one's which, but it's a white with brown and goes down and runs that TCSA circuit. It's unfused. It's hooked into the white wires that run the fuel pump. So when it shorts on the gearbox, not if, I mean, but when it shorts on the gearbox, it burns up the white circuit from the gearbox up to the main loom, through the main loom to the cutoff switch above your right knee, above the throttle inside the car, and then finally over to the ignition switch. It burns up the whole wiring loom. So hide a fuse. If it's a factory original, make it look factory original, put a factory original fuse holder in there somehow on that white with brown. Nobody ever say a word to you about it, of course. And then in any case, leave that TCA switch hooked to itself, and then move it around when you open it up for the show. But always run that vacuum advance on the distributor. Car runs infinitely better if the distributor always has vacuum.
Okay, well, okay. Now let me explain my car. I don't have that wire in my car. That wire, my wiring harness does not have that wire going over to that switch. Okay, to the one up on the brakes. All right. Now, my understanding, and I've looked at this and I've checked the switch and everything, it appears to me when that kicks in, it actually shuts the vacuum off to the distributor, not on.
No.
Because every time
unless I've misunderstood it for 40 years.
Every time I energize that relay, I can't blow through it. But when I don't energize it, I can blow through it.
We're talking about the one on the brake master cylinder, not obviously not the anti-run-on switch solenoid over on the other side.
Correct. And then the other thing is my vacuum advance, when I'm at idle and I hook that vacuum advance, I set my timing at 0. When I hook that vacuum advance up at idle, that sucker jumps clear up to 30 degrees.
Yes. Yeah. That's how much manifold vacuum there is. That's why they idle so nicely. Those late model cars, when they're hooked up like that, they idle so nicely.
Yeah, but then it must drop off when the mechanical starts to come in.
As soon as you put your foot down, you lose the vacuum.
Yep.
And the mechanical advance takes over.
Yeah.
But that vacuum, oh my gosh, if you can get the car to idle at 20, 30 degrees before, it idles so nicely. You can't accelerate from there. You can't. There's no hope of going anywhere without a lot of spark knocking and stuff. So anyways, just the way that it's set up. But sounds like you got the best of both worlds there. You don't have a wire that goes to it. So
right. So then setting my idle advance, I probably should set it down to about 25 instead of 30. Huh?
No, what you should do is disconnect the vacuum, put a timing light on it, rev it up until the advance stops moving, and ensure that you're 32 degrees before.
Right.
That's it. That's it. And then hook the whole thing back up, and you will find that your advance is about 30 degrees before.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that you answered the question. Basically, leave that solenoid out of it. Just leave it out of the circuit. Don't even put it up there because the wire wasn't there anyway.
Then nobody will come by and say anything about it. You're left with 2 screw holes, so just fill those with some sort of little black screw.
Yeah. I already did that. So okay, John. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, John Clark. Are you asking? Are you got a hand up?
Yes, John, I have my hand up because I've been forgetting to ask you about this, so I'm just going to throw it out there. My 77B is making a metallic chuckling sound as I decelerate. It's a metallic chuckling sound. Sounds like
Well, I appreciate you making the noise. I'm not sure. It could be a thousand things, everything from a cracked exhaust manifold. I mean, I just could be a lot of stuff. Deceleration,
it is
deceleration.
making me think exhaust. It does make me
So
think
so
exhaust.
the motor mount, when the left front motor mount begins to fail, then the engine sits closer to the steering column, and when you decelerate, it can hit the column, but then usually you get a vibration up the column too at the same time.
No vibration that I can
Yeah,
detect.
I'll drive it for you. I'll
Thank you,
drive it
John.
for you,
Thank you.
and we'll report next time. How's that? Okay. All right, Bob, Gloria. Hey, I called Team Triumph today looking for a part, but they didn't have it. But I wanted to let you know that I did call them.
He just got out of the hospital. He had pneumonia.
Oh,
But anyway, I want to go back to the air filters.
yeah.
And I get what you're saying about and they work really well, the original. But I put a cold air intake out of all things, a 1990 Ford Aerostar van, just the top half. I've got two short stacks under there. You need the short stacks, and a 4-inch hose that goes out. Had to make the hole in the radiator support bigger, and the KN filter at KN on in the front. The thing is, around town, there's no difference. On the highway, there is a difference, and the reason I know that in the mountains of Colorado, car wouldn't idle not even 500 RPM. Got out on the highway about 60 or 70 miles an hour, put in neutral, and I'm idling over 1,000 RPM. It's pushing air in. My gas mileage went up. If you just drive around town, it doesn't make any difference what you use. But if you that it's a ram air, really, it
So
really works well.
take some pictures. Maybe you've sent me pictures. Take some pictures of that. Send them to me so I can see it. We'll talk about it.
All right, yeah, and it's got to be no later than a 90 Aerostar. The other ones changed the shape.
Okay.
But I had one, and I'm thinking I want an airbox on my MG, and
Where do you find something from a 1990 Aerostar?
a boneyard, an old
Well, an
boneyard.
old bone, yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, I'll take pictures, send it to you. But yeah, I was checking my oil one day, and I said, "There's my airbox," and it's just the top of it, and it's curved. It got the short stacks. It does make a difference, but like I
Okay.
said, if you don't drive on a highway, it's not worth it.
Thank you.
Hey, John, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Um, I think you will probably know this, but for the owner's manual in your car, and we're primarily talking about MGBs, I think that the 62 to 67 owner's manuals all looked pretty much the same. And then in 68, they started making new owner's manuals, and they made those up until 1980 that were more like year based. 68, 69, 73, 78, etc. Is that how you would do it if a person
Yes.
just asked me about getting an owner's manual for their 67 BGT, and I told them they all were the same from 62 to 67.
And every year after that, there were changes. There were all kinds of different things, different instructions, different safety warnings, different everythings. And they were published in English and French and Japanese and Belgian. No, I know it's not, no, but French, German, everything.
Right.
Swedish. Yeah, there's a huge selection. You do that as a Zoom session sometime. All the different factory handbooks. But yeah. But after that, they change each year. So it's really nice to have the one that goes with your car.
Right. Well, and then I noticed something else, and this is just information for other people, but the same person was asking me for a owner's workshop manual. So a workshop manual, and they have the 67 BGT. And I suggested to him, well, he was looking for a Robert Bentley version. And I said, well, I think they made them from Bentley, and I don't know that they cover just through 67. Maybe it goes up to 69 or 70, and then they have different versions. And then there were also a few MGB workshop manuals that actually British Leyland or British Motor Corporation made. Do you have those, or what do you look at?
Factory manual always, if there's a question, because that's the source detail. So there are driver's handbooks going the glove box sized, put in the car, tells you how to jack the car up if you haven't already figured out, but for Christ's sakes, don't carry another jack with you. That was just an example. But it tells you how to do all that kind of routine, simple maintenance. And then there's the factory workshop manual, which tells you in what sequence to do every job, and what special tools are necessary, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's the factory parts manual, which to a mechanic is as or more helpful than the workshop manual because it shows you how stuff goes together and in which combinations. I've got it.
Trying to get not trying to get the alpha start, trying to get to starting the alpha.
Sorry, Alan. Had to mute you there for a second. You can come back on. Wasn't you I was muted. So anyway, yeah, there are all those, and those are all changed. They all had updates. So you can get an MGB workshop manual from 1973, and the page you have, page 11, is issue 4 because it's been through 4 reprints. So yeah, there's a lot of information that's available. Some of it is interestingly wrong. Very little of it's wrong, but it's always funny to find the wrong stuff. And then most of it is like extremely, extremely helpful. So no better source of information.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I thought it was interesting because I recently came across a factory workshop manual that was done by British Leyland. And they had one that was version 13 and one that was version 14. And I think version 14 is for the 1979 and 80, or maybe just 1980. And I don't know when version 13 is because there's no date in it. It's British Leyland, but I don't know if it's 77 or 78 or 79.
In the later years, each year had its own workshop manual. 77, I think 78 then blended into 1980. They put some addendums out for it. But yeah, there's an incredible amount of information. Fortunately, so much of it's the same. The engine basically stays the same.
Right, but you were saying earlier tonight, and that's why I even brought this up, was that in 1980 they made some changes. And so they're a little bit different than a 77 or 78 or 79 even.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Can I make a quick comment on the Bentley manual?
Yeah, David.
As far as I know, there are 2.
You got a Bentley manual right behind you.
Yep.
Very nice.
There are 2 volumes, 62 to 74, and it has a green cover, and it's about 550 pages long. And then there's the 75 to 80, and it's smaller. But yeah, I think these are
it's the factory workshop manual.
Yeah.
Printed under license.
You can still get these new. I've even seen them on Amazon.
Sure. And as expensive as they are, what is it, $75?
I think the 62 to 74 is about 100. And that one right there, I paid 80 for.
Yeah, okay. That's out of touch I am. So yeah, there it's in the complete MGB workshop manual is like I can't back up that wide, right? That wide. And you buy it in sections that thick for 50, 75, $100. And and the more of them you have, the more information. It's all out there. You just except where to get the MGB air filters. That wasn't easily easily found. Although I'll report next time about where I found them. I thought maybe somebody
Your
would have
local dealer.
a Subaru replacement or something. There's a Mitsubishi pan or a flat filter that works for a midget 1500, something like that. So
Hey, John, just for fun, I looked up on Amazon. The green one is $90 in hardcover, and the purple one that David was holding up is $80 in hardcover, and you can get them by the end of the week.
hey, okay, thank you very much.
Hey,
I
John,
yes, sir, Mark.
did I hear you say that the 80 MGB has a different size tire?
You did hear me say that. Am I correct or not?
Well, I'm asking. I don't know. You're
I
enlightening me
think
here.
this is a lot of this, is off the top of my head what I remember. But I remember that the tires got bigger. Maybe it was just the LEs. Maybe it's both of them. I don't know. You
Okay,
call
well,
me tomorrow, and
I'm
I'll
gonna
be.
go out and check my LE when this is over. But they're probably not the original tires. I'm the second owner,
Better hope
so
not. Better hope not.
yeah. Oh, they are outdated. They need to be replaced. So
I know those tire guys are telling you once every 10 years, and it's like,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Really?
Well, I know it's only got 27,000 miles.
Yeah,
Why would I have to replace them?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Thank you.
John, quick question, John.
Yeah.
I must have joined about a minute afterwards. It's Martin Heisel from
Yes.
London, Ontario. How are you doing?
Great.
Which air cleaner were you looking for? Like which
The
year?
833, the MGB,
Okay.
1962 through 1974.
Okay, yeah. Because I found the one for the Stromberg just on Rock Auto, but obviously you need something different then.
Well, I called Napa today. They told me that they'd have it here Wednesday, but Moss Moss isn't going to get their delivery till June or something. So I don't know. We'll see. Stuff
You
goes.
might check just, I know sometimes Rock Auto is a bit hit and miss, but a couple of years or more than a couple of years
Hey.
ago, I think they had a Wix filter for $4, so I got about 6 of them. So figure
Yeah.
that should last me a while.
Yeah. Yeah, there are deals out there all the time, and our cars do use the same parts as other cars. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna start over here on chat. I've got to move this guy out so I can read it. Marty's got some information up here. Terry Luft, explain a little more detail on the MGC flywheel placement. I get 1 and 4 TDC, but I'm fuzzy on the flywheel part. So Terry talked to me today about he was putting together his engine, and I said make sure you get the 1/4 at the top because I thought he's doing an MGB engine, but here you say you're doing an MGC engine. Are you still on, Terry?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So is that were you doing a C engine or a B engine?
MGC engine.
Okay. So there's not a 1/4 to be a 1/6. I don't even know what it would be. Probably on the circumference of the flywheel, and that's when the number 1 and number 6 piston at their topmost. I don't know what it. I can't.
Well, shoot, I what did I say? 1 and 4. Yeah.
You did.
I misspoke there. No, it is an MGC engine.
Right. Okay. So it'd be a 1/6 then maybe. So when the pistons and the 1 and 6 are at the top of the stroke, that's where that goes. So that the flywheel is properly clocked on the crank to match whatever balancing was done originally.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify it
Sure.
because I know the other cars are marked at the top of the flywheel.
Yep.
Hey, John.
Lee.
I got you went past Marty's stuff, but you missed my question
I'm
first.
sorry.
First on the list there.
What's your question?
I have a 76B.
Yep.
It's always started just fine. The last couple of weeks, it's started not starting, but I noticed that when I released the key from the start position, it would catch and start.
Okay.
It starts that way every time now.
This is the low voltage. This is the low voltage circuit that's in the ignition system so that your ignition coil runs on 8 volts while it's running. But while it's starting, it's on battery voltage, which is more like 12 volts. So you get a bigger spark at startup than when it's normally running. So there's something wrong with the connection on from your starter motor to the ignition coil. It's a white with green circuit, and there's a white with green wire that's attached to the starter solenoid, and that is coupled with another white with green that comes from the ignition circuit. So you need a 12-volt test light to check it out to see which part of it's faulty. Although a visual inspection is always nice, but there should be a boot on the starter. Should be. Maybe with luck there's not. Then you can see the wires. Taking that boot off can be just a tremendous project. But we've got to see if that white with green wire is attached down with the starter motor. So
is there any harm to the car with it running the way it is now?
No. You just develop the technique on how to start it. No, it's just fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Judd. So this is the short filter problem. So it used to be that when you bought a filter that was recommended by everybody and it was in common use, that the inside of the filter, there was some distance on top of the filter for the oil to come up around the top of the filter and go into the tube. This is 1970 through 1980 MGBs with a tube with a spin-on oil filter. Over a period of time, filters have gotten shorter. So the top of the filter comes closer and closer. Even that Napa 1068 that I used to tout all the time, being that's the gold standard for the filter. What happened? Somebody bought one, they changed the internal design, and when you screwed it down tight, it blocked off the pipe. Oil came into the filter, couldn't get out of the filter into the engine. What kind of filter is that? And then I spoke earlier about Ron Kuno, who had a filter on his engine, ran it in, 75 pounds, running great, puts it in the car, switches the filter, 0 oil pressure. Same supplier, same part number, same filter. Looked exactly the same, blocked off the oil flow. So you got to make sure that the filter that you're putting on your car is tall enough to get well over the end of that inlet.
Okay, so my question is, my car, well, the only car I've got that's got a vertical filter is the MGB 72 spin-on, and it shows good oil pressure. Doesn't that mean that there's no blockage?
Correct.
So whatever it is tall enough.
Correct.
That's what I wanted, that insurance. It can't fool you.
So it's as long as you're after the oil pressure, as long as you got the oil pressure, but always buy the tallest filter you can.
Okay.
Okay. Jim Pastore's event, here we come. Doc Rosevear, what type of Permatech should I use for an intake gasket? I've been I've been known to fold the engine, and therefore consider fuel resistance type, um, or new and colored the right stuff. AutoZone does not carry the old black stuff. So on the inlet gasket, first of all, I wouldn't use anything. I put it on dry. But if I were going to put something on it, there's some Permatex, that red tag. Oh, the red is such an ugly color. I guess I used the right stuff. It it's if you absolutely wanted to use something on there, but if you're going to smear something on the exhaust side, then I would use the Permatex. It's red. That's the only thing that's so offensive when you look under the bonnet and see red goo sticking out the side of the thing. But anyway, that's a high temp silicone. So
John,
is that just a second? I'm going to go back to Doc Rosebeer. Does that sound good enough?
sounds good. Yes.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. Now,
John?
yes.
Oh, good. I'm talking to you now. Okay, here's an oddball question about an oddball car from an oddball guy. Got a 1980 LE, started its life in North America, where they put in an air conditioning system in the front. It's still in there, still running. The thing is this, it's got a fan, which is a white fan, which is attached to the water pump.
Right.
In front of the radiator, there is a single yellow fan. And from what I gather, you're the guy with the knowledge. Back in the day, these cars had two yellow fans in front of the radiator and no fan attached to the water pump.
That is
So now,
that is correct.
okay, so now I've got this fan, which has been in there for 45 years and showing some cracks. Not that serious at this point, but still it should be replaced, in my opinion. And when I look at the whole thing, I've also got one of these monstrous fan shrouds that they put in that I guess was intended to direct the air into the fan for some reason to facilitate the aircon. When I look on Moss or any other catalogs, I don't see any equivalent fans that I can get to replace the one that's attached to the water pump. What comment do you have about how I can deal with this? Some people say just put an electric fan on.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, you could do you still use the air conditioning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it as a novelty, even though I'm up here in Canada.
You got to find a fan. You've got to find a fan that's the same size and the same bolt pattern. And I mean, I don't know, Dan's Fan City. I don't know. There must be someplace on the internet that you can adequately describe that. I don't know what the bolt pattern is on an MGB water pump. I just not off the top of my head. I've never even considered it. That obscure information is,
I know it's the usual four screws going in.
oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's all that is.
It's the pattern. It's the
John,
pattern.
what I suggest is that the regular yellow fan that they have on earlier cars will probably fit that. And usually that fan has 8 holes in it for 2 different sizes of the output of the water pump. So it'll go on either bolt pattern, depending on how you fit it. Sometimes you'll need a spacer behind there, but he's probably already got the spacer on there.
It does.
Stand it up from the pulley.
Yeah, yeah.
That yellow fan is 2 inches smaller than the white fan, though, right? Is that going to make a difference?
I wouldn't think so.
Because they put a spacer block underneath the thermostat housing to lift the top radiator hose up out of the way so the fan wouldn't hit it. So that was a factory, what they called factory air conditioning. It was not installed at the factory. It was installed here. It came in a kit, a big heavy box, and it was always dealer installed. and it carried an HAC part number for Hambro Automotive Corporation. They provided a lot of factory extras to the company. But yeah, that sounds
One
like
of the
they,
cool things about it, so to speak, no pun intended, is that kit has a matching, shall I say, fascia to the dash.
yes,
And it ties in quite nicely from
it
that
does.
standpoint.
Yep.
And doesn't leave you with a whole lot of knee room, but still, it's a bit of a kick.
You-
Okay, thank you. I'll
you're-
try the yellow fan idea. The
Yeah.
thing is, anything that's too even a bit larger is going to start banging away on that great big shroud.
Oh,
So
well, yeah. That
I got to be
the
careful.
yellow fan's factory size fan. I bet that'll work out great.
Yeah, of course, that's in front of the radiator, right? So I'll
Well,
be putting it behind the radiator.
right. It's pulling air through the radiator. Yep. And
Okay, thank you.
all right.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yep. James, my 77B runs just great when it's dry. However, when it starts to rain, it runs very poorly. James, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, get some sort of bottle that you can mist with, um,
hmm
something that held soap or does hold soap. Don't blow soap all over the engine, but just put water in there, start the car up in the garage with the door open at night with the light off, and just start misting it and see where it's sparking. Okay.
Okay.
Chances are, I mean, almost always, it's having to do with moisture, and it could be tracking around the distributor cap, or it just look and see, and if it doesn't start sparking right away or something, just put your fingers down in there, not into the fan, of course, nothing moving, but just the wires around the coil, and just move stuff around and see what happens.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okie doke. All right. So now we got Alan, Anzac Day. All right, Anzac Day. Alan M. Magnuson, probably, but I don't know why that's come up now, but yeah, that's watch the movie Gallipoli. You'll understand why there's a day. Barry Jones, can I reduce the height of the driver's seat? It's when I'm driving, I'm looking through the top frame of the windscreen. Also, the reclining seat adjusters are stuck. Any easy way to free them up, or is that a complete removal of the seat covers that's needed to get to the adjusters? Number one is the second one, and that is the seat adjusters. And you have to take the back of the seat off, but you can do that. It just got clips on it. It's not magic. Take it apart. Take it apart. There's a lever there. You can see what it's trying to move, and it's just all rusty. It needs lots of oil, lots of exercise, and you get it real oily. And then when it's all sliding together and everything, put some grease on it even, and then wipe off the extra, and then you can go ahead and put the covers back on. When you put the seat cover back on, put a garbage bag over the seat insulation first, and then then that will come off real nicely. You can reach up and tear the bag out afterwards. As far as how high you are, I don't believe you look underneath those seats on the tracks, and there's only a piece of wood that's an eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch thick that runs along the bottom there, unless someone's lifted it up for some reason. Otherwise, there's no way to get yourself down in the seat other than to reduce the webbing that's on the bottom of the seat, so that you sit more deeply into the seat.
John, a suggestion.
Yes.
If you can find them, the MGC seats are lower.
Really?
They do not sit as tall because the floor is raised for the torsion bar suspension.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a thought. Just a
I
thought.
did not know that. Thank you. Very cool.
Okay, thanks, John. That's
Finding
great.
MGC seats will be as easy as finding two 5 1/4 inch MGC cylinder head studs that I can't seem to turn up. If anyone's got MGC parts, please call me tomorrow. I'm desperate. I sound like Starvin' Marvin. That's what I was trying to come up with before on I-95 or 75 going through Georgia or something or other. Stop! I need your business. Anyway, okay, we've got that one sorted out. Let's see, David C. Rebuilt 78 MGB engine in Stromberg in California with all the smog lines and NOS. Oh, cat seems too hot and have been trying to lean the fuel. How does a properly operating catalytic converter run? Really hot. Okay, it can't be red hot. Are you still on, David?
I'm still here. Do you hear me?
Yeah, yep. So it can't be red hot.
Can there be a little red on the front of it?
Shouldn't be.
Nope.
That
Okay.
means there's too much fuel getting into it.
All right. I'm at 5,200 feet in the mountains of
Oh my
California.
gosh. So you got the worst of everything.
I got the lean needle.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I didn't replace the jets, so I don't know if that's part of my issue or just my rebuild.
you got to go for gold. I mean, because you have to get it smogged, right?
Right.
After that, it can run right. So you can fiddle around to make it run right. Be nice to have both. So you can resize the jet in place. Well, you got to take the carburetor off the car. You don't have to buy a new jet. You can just use a ball bearing and crush the hole that makes up the jet.
Okay.
With a little tiny ball bearing and a punch and a hammer, bam, bam. And do not disturb the position of the jet in the housing. You have to have the float bowl off, and you have to have the bottom of the jet against the anvil part of your vise or something. Then take a number 39 drill. That's
All right.
0.00995. So it's a half a thousandths under 100 thousandths. So it leaves the jet just a little undersized, but probably not because you're going to wobble with your drill as you're drilling it. Anyway, and you can also set the float height lean.
Okay.
Just a little bit. So anyway, those are all tricks.
All right. Appreciate that. I've gone through the carb a few times, and I'll take
my
it off
gosh.
again and give her another shot.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cherry Tobin says, is that a panhard rod on the rear lowered suspension? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe that's the correct name of it. Here we go. David Hayes says dual carbon canisters are introduced September 77 on North American cars. So if they were introduced in September 77, that means that the 76s, which are still 77s, had single canisters. Thanks. When did they put a D-ring on the boot bulkhead to hold the tool bag? What is this? Jeopardy? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm curious.
I'll take the tool bag for 300. Oh my gosh, I have no idea.
I've seen late model rubber bumpers that don't have, like mine's a 78, February 78. It doesn't have the D-ring. It doesn't even see, like, and you'd think if it had been removed, there'd be some marks, but I've seen later model ones that have that D-ring.
Fred knows that Fred hasn't. Fred, have you studied this yet? Tool bags? Fred Horner? Oh, maybe Fred's dropped away. He's a repository of lots of unusual knowledge. I do not know. I've got a factory parts manual, so I'd be able to, if they even, sometimes they changed the part and didn't change the part number, so you can't always tell from the parts manual, but boy, I don't know. Interesting.
Hey, John.
That's tonight's question. John Esposito. But you are still muted.
Okay,
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
On that catalytic converter issue, we ran into a number of cars where the AIR system failed and pumped fuel into the exhaust, and that caused the catalytic converter to overheat like that. You might want to try disconnecting the AIR system and see if it continues.
Tell me what you mean by the AIR system.
Air injection reaction.
Right. If that system, if that,
everybody seems on mute right now, but I don't know that. I'm not familiar describing a system is the AIR system. So
the air pump on these cars was referred to as the air injection reaction system to pump air into the exhaust manifolds.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Waste of a lot of good little turbines.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Going back to that D ring.
Yes.
I've got a 78, and I don't think I've got a D ring to hold the toolkit.
Okay.
So I don't know when they put it on, but just a thought.
That's tonight's $300 question. All right, Mark Webb, 1980 MGB US has black silver stripe LE wheels, luggage rack. Oh, I did not mention everything that I was supposed to. So here he's got a note with all the stuff that the LE came with. Leather wrapped steering wheel, cocoa mats. Oh my gosh, I forgot that. LE plaque on the dash. Yep. Installed in different locations as installed by the dealer. Interior can be all black or tan, but remember at the very end, what the battery carpets were all black. I think the floor might be brown, but in back that was always black.
Nope. Nope. Mine's brown.
Okay. How new is yours?
1980.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Oh, and I have the D ring for the prior question. So
okay.
Just for fun.
Sure. Okay.
Mine's brown.
Okay. When was yours built, John?
March of 1980.
That's pretty late. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey. All right, Terry Luft, what tool do you use to remove the spigot bush on the MGC crank? The best tool is a used MGB. Esposito is going to die at this. Use a first motion shaft because it's exactly the right diameter, and fill the spigot bush with grease. Put that first motion shaft in there and hit it with a big, heavy friggin' brass hammer. Bam, bam, bam. And it puts pressure on the grease, and the grease forces the bushing out. That's the easiest way. If you've got a tap, an 11 sixteenths, 13 sixteenths. It's an 800,000. I swear it's larger than a 5/8 tap. You can screw a tap down in there too, and the tap hits the crank. Can't go. You're turning it and it bottoms out. You keep turning it so it moves the bushing out. Two different ways of doing it. Since you already have
that
part
idea
of
better than the bam, bam, bam.
the cranks
I'll look on
the cranks in the
Amazon for
car.
a tap.
Cranks in the car now, right? And the
No, it's
cranks in the engine.
It's in the block. Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be banging on it now.
No.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Hey, you're welcome. David Halliday. He's David's 73 BGT is Citroen. But he's got a 1973 BGT. But David Halliday, that is a British car. Is that correct? British delivery? Are you still on?
It is, John. It's a V8. So it's
okay. So so the cars are titled in England, having to do with the year they were built. cars are titled in the United States, and we refer to them as that, having to do with when the manufacturer says it was that year. So 74 is the longest model year. They started building them in September of 73 and built them all the way through the end of December in 74. And those are all US 1974s, even though some of them are 73. So that may be why there's a difference here, depending on when yours was built. Yours built.
It may be. And mine's a December 73 car, so I guess that's 74 model year for the US, but
usually changes in mine. Usually changes in September.
I thought Citroen was available in all the V8s, but
well, maybe they changed the colors up on the V8s too. Could be.
May have, yeah. But it's brought them in earlier than the rest of the cars.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. Yep, probably. Okay. Alan Magnuson says Citroen was available 73 through 75. Okay. All right. BLVC 73. So, okay. I don't remember anyway. Okay. Terry Tobin, what are your thoughts on having the rear springs arched to lower the car rather than using blocks? I would prefer that, yes, because then you don't get that torque steer. Another option is to re-drill the holes in the ears at the back of the car that hold the front of the leaf springs. That's another option, but you can't get very much of a drop by changing that. But you can have those springs flattened out. Yes, that's a more reasonable, to me, more reasonable, but uncontrollable. I mean, what do you go to the spring shop and say, hey, I want 3 inches taken out of these. And they look at you weird and they go, oh, okay. And then you get them back and then you'll see what you actually have. Let's see, David Hay, North American spec limited edition cars are black, 6,682. Okay. Okay, here we go. 6682. I remember when we were corresponding with the Dane who wrote the books. Come on. The original MGB, Anders Clausinger. When we were corresponding with Clausinger, I remember that it was a different number than that, but probably
you're talking about Clausinger.
Yeah, Anders. Yep. Thanks. And then we got 580 GTs and 421 metallics for 1,001 cars. Interesting. Thanks, David.
Where I got that.
Hey, right from him. Okay.
It's the Bible.
It is. Absolutely.
There's more information in this than any other book I've ever read on MGBs.
A couple of the pictures in there, I can't tell you which ones were taken in my backyard.
No kidding.
Side marker, like this is a North American rear side marker, something like that. Yep. And I think myself and my wife, he gave us a sentence in there someplace. So yeah, nice. All right, Marnin, I've just used the standard gun from Princess Auto. So Marnin's probably talking about a timing gun, probably. Let's see.
No, somebody had asked about grease gun, whether they needed different grease fittings. So I was just saying that no, it's just, I just bought one and figuring because he was in Canada also, he would know Princess Auto. So it's just a standard grease gun.
Hey, okay, got it.
Oh, and John, just to let you know, I did look on Rock Auto. Again, if you're looking for an original one, the air filters, that's something else, but they have for maybe $8 for a 63 MGB. So
okay.
If you look,
Thank you
can see for sure.
Thanks. Let's see. All right, standard grease guns. Here we go. Greg Fisher, I have a stubborn brake squeal that drives me and my wife crazy. I've got drilled and slotted rotors, which I had to turn after a few miles to see if I could stop it. I've put new pads on 2 or 3 times, use anti-squeal grease, nothing works. Any ideas? So, what's going on, of course, Greg, you're on? Are you on right now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So, it's this vibration that you get an interference between the brake rotor and the brake pad. So there's nothing you can do about the brake rotor. That's in place. Have you tried the pads?
Memtech.
No, come on, Bob and Gloria. What are the pads you guys use?
Duralast Gold.
Duralast.
I never put anything on them, and they never
where?
squeal. AutoZone.
AutoZone.
And
So anyway,
the thing about them is their lifetime warranty, even if they wear out. I haven't bought a pad in over 30 years.
Okay, all right. So that, and then what we used to do is take silicone sealant, like the right stuff, some of the air dries, and put a gob of it on the back of the pad in the middle, so that when the cup comes up to hit it, it's not squishing it, and that tends to absorb the vibration. We also used to take duct tape, just duct tape, clean off the back of the pad with some carb cleaner, put a piece of duct tape on it, get it really, really well adhered, cut it on the edges so that nothing wraps around the side and interferes with the free movement of the pad. And sometimes that would help. Light braking over a period of time causes brakes to squeal. So anyway, that's as
What
much as I
about
know about it.
piston notches? What do the piston notches do?
They're supposed
that
to
for
angle the
squeal?
pad, but once they angle the pad, then the pad picks up. I mean, then you're running a trapezoid in there. I don't know. In the
Yeah,
MG,
I guess I'll just keep playing with it. I was thinking, I'm
keep
looking
playing
at
with
all
it.
these different things, and I think I could spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying different brakes, but I may end up with the same issue, whether it's a new rotor or a new caliper, whatever.
Well, the Duralast, at least if you get those, maybe you can take them back and say, hey, they squeal, and get your money back. I don't know.
John,
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
does the MGB use the standoff valve for the rear application before the front application?
No. They
Okay.
both come on at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Here we got Glenn, who says he had the same thing. Aftermarket calipers, and I rebuilt the original ones, straight swap with the pads, and the squeal seems to have gone away. How could calipers make the brakes squeal? But here, I always rebuild calipers. I never buy new ones. But that,
Of course, I threw out my old calipers.
of course, yeah, there's more out there. So anyway, Phil Drearden says, any suggestions on a modern paint that is close to the MGTF metallic almond green? All you can do is take what you think is the metallic almond green off the car from the underside of the toolbox lid or something, and go out to the car lot and start walking, start looking. I don't know. And besides, the cars in New Zealand are not the same cars or the same color as they are here. I just tell people to walk the car lot.
I do that already and take photographs.
Yeah, no, just go out there with a panel, as long as they don't think you're going to go out and damage cars. Just go out there and stand, drive them and look. But it's really hard. It's really hard to come up. You can chase it. You can chase it and get what someone says is almond green, but it's just what they say. I don't know.
John,
Yeah.
to match my bronze yellow, they came out and used some kind of machine to I don't forget what they called it. So it's like takes a picture, digital thing.
Spectrograph, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then they match it pretty close.
Yeah. Understand.
Thanks.
Yep. On lowering blocks for MGB 1980, I used the Moss kit, replaced the U-bolts, required far more torque. That may be the operative part of this whole sentence. And tightening then seemed reasonable, but yes, it works fine with no torque steering. So you got them really, really tight. We used to get them so tight that bottom thick plate that holds the shock absorber, that bend, you tighten it up just so you get a bend on it. Just start to bend.
Yes, yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, yep. Where are the VIN numbers on the body and what years were they moved? This is Randy. So they were really handy. They were up on the firewall in the days of the TFs and the MGAs, and stamped in the frame, stamped in the dumb irons on the T-types, and stamped in the frame on an MGA right below what would have been, if they were all right-hand drive, the driver's knees, none of which any longer exist. I don't think I've ever seen more than 3 MGA serial numbers in my life that were relatively unmolested. They all rusted away, stamped into the frame. The MGBs didn't have a number stamped in the frame. They just had a plate up in front of the radiator on the right-hand side. Then there's always a body number, and then there's a sequential number for the first, I don't know, 2-3 years of production. Then in 1968, the plate moved into the door. By 1970, it's under the windscreen. It's, of course, on the door under the windscreen, and it's also 77 through 80 stamped into the frame at the right front motor mount. I think it's stamped into the frame at the right rear someplace too. When people were concerned about chop shops and people stealing MGBs for fun and profit. Anyway, that's just a quick one. There's always been a body number because there's a car number and there's a body number and there's an engine number. All those are different. There's numbers on the gearboxes. There's numbers on the differentials. Everything was supplied in groups. So they get a bunch of bodies in, they get a bunch of engines in, and there's no logic on how stuff goes, only that it goes in groups. So you can have cars that are two VINs away from each other, and their engine numbers are 200 away from each other, just the way it is. So let's see, Marty's got some stuff here. John Borg, do you put grease in the spigot bushing when refitting the transmission? Yes, but not very much. Not very much. I mean, that's the spigot bush in the back of the crank is oil impregnated. And before you fit it, you're supposed to put it in oil and let it soak in oil for a couple of days or heat up the oil so the oil gets into the bronze and gets in there. Then tunk, it goes into place and wipe it off and you're all set. But since most of them come out of a box, you don't know how long the oil's been. They've been soaking in oil, all that kind of stuff. Just a little bit of grease on the end of your finger on the inside of it. And when you push the first motion shaft in, the excess grease goes into the inside. You don't want to put a great big slug of grease in there. No way, but a little bit. I always do that. So here, Ben Andrews says, here we got Rock Auto. All right, or O'Reilly's. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, Marty's got a list of people who have ordered the book. Thank you. Ben Andrews, while you and John Esposito are on, I don't know if John's on yet, I have drips of oil collecting on the overdrive screen cover. Of course you do. It's an overdrive screen cover. Do you see more seepage coming from around the cone clutch area, just forward of the filter, the pump area, or just easily explain the filter or bolts itself? So nothing should leak except the filter. And the reason that leaks is because there's a piece of screen and a piece of gasket and a piece of gasket. And it weeps out the screen.